Which drumheads provide a brighter and more open sound? The Aquarian Classic Clears or the Remo Clear Ambassadors? Let's hear the true difference in sound on toms and really dig into the differences in build on those heads and how they affect the tuning. First up, the similarities. As you'd expect, both heads are single ply, 10 mil in thickness. Since neither of these heads are coated, they should both provide a brighter sound. Aquarian's official wording is that the heads provide a wide open sound, whereas Remo says that the heads are bright and open. The first thing that you'll notice is that due to how the collar is shaped, the Aquarian fits on the bearing edge a little bit looser. It has a little bit of play, whereas when you put the Remo on, it doesn't quite go down all the way. So in this sense, the Aquarian fits a little bit closer to what you would expect from an Evans head. Also similar to the Evans, the Aquarian, instead of it being tight against the shell, is now tight against the hoop. As you can see on my 12-inch hoop here, when I first took it off, the head was actually stuck on the hoop, and I'd have to hit it with my hand, hit the drum head with my hand for it to fall out. Another difference is that metal ring part of the head. As you can see, the Aquarian, it's much thicker when compared to the Remo. You'll also see that the Aquarians, they're a lot shallower when compared to the Remo. If you put them side by side, they're not as tall. So what that means is that when you put the Aquarian on the shell, that metal part of the head is going to sit up higher. It's going to be closer to the bearing edge and kind of more in the way of where the hoop is. So that's three differences in the construction of the Aquarians that will result in them sitting on the shells differently. So just keep that in mind. Depending on who manufactured your shells, you may find that the Aquarians fit better or worse. Now, one benefit of all these differences is that the Aquarians aren't easier to tune. You can just throw them on the shell, tune them up, and you're good to go. Whereas the Remos is a whole long break-in process you have to go through. Another difference is the inherent pitch of those heads. I find that the Aquarians always seem to have a slightly higher pitch when compared to the Remos. Here's the 8-inch Remo versus the 8-inch Aquarian. And now the 12-inch. This difference was true for all 5 sizes I bought. But does that difference in sound translate once you have the heads tuned on a drum? Let's test this on my DW Collector's Kit. These are cherry mahogany shells, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16-inch diameters, all fast tom depths. I'll be miking those drums up with condensers on the top and moving coil mics underneath. The top mics will be louder in the mix. Once in the computer, the only other processing on those tom tracks will be gates with a threshold of at least 10 decibels below peak. My other tracks will have additional processing. So my first impressions, I thought the sound between them was very similar. If I was doing a blind test, I'd be hard pressed to identify which one was which. One difference I thought I heard though, it seemed that the Remos had maybe a little bit more overtones or maybe slightly higher pitch overtones compared to the Aquarians, but the difference was very subtle. Now that's as opposed to the Remos versus Evans, where I feel there's a bit more of a difference in sound there. So if you're looking for an alternative to Remos, something that sounds similar, but is maybe a little bit easier to work with, a little easier to tune, then you might want to check out the Aquarians. Just be mindful of the size differences. Now, as I mentioned, the Evans do have a bit more of a difference in sound when compared to the Remos. And if you want to hear what that sounds like, you can find the video for that right over here. Until next time, peace.